I'd just like to kick this off by saying it's an honor to be around so many family medicine enthusiasts, and I'd like to give a shout out to two big mentors, Dr. Raj Williver and Dr. Marilyn Galushi, and the staff at the Maine Vets Home, who were really the inspirations for this piece. And I titled it Learning by Living. Looking up at the lone parakeet at the top right corner of the large wooden cage, I remember feeling just as lost and hopeless as he appeared. He was on the opposite side of the cage from his 4 cage mates, staring off helplessly down the empty hall of the Maine Veterans Home. At that moment, I thought about the emotions that we might be sharing. We were both isolated from our loved ones, trapped inside an uncomfortable environment, and lacking any semblance of control over our current situations. Before my first year of medical school, I had the opportunity of participating in a project led by the geriatrics department called Learning by Living. It's a perspective-shattering experience where a student is admitted to a nursing home for 2 weeks, living out the diagnosis of an elder patient who has recently suffered a dominant side paralysis and an aspiration event. The facility did a fantastic job recreating the experience and ultimately helped demonstrate the hardship suffered by patients who found themselves drastically changed as they moved into a facility and began to deal with both short and long-term health concerns. The project started out surprisingly well. I made several friends, guys who liked or were just like me and enjoyed playing cards and loved criticizing the Red Sox. I tried to stay as busy as I possibly could, participated in every available activity, and spoke to everyone in my hall who was willing to chat. The food was surprisingly great too, and dysphagia diet and all, never went to bed hungry. But I'd never been in a wheelchair before and enjoyed zipping down the halls to the common area with my non-dominant hands and challenged myself in weaving in and out of tight spaces. It took about 5 days for the novelty of the change of scenery to wear off. But when it did, it came on suddenly. I remember staying in bed later and later each day. Some of the activities that were scheduled seemed monotonous all of a sudden, and it was tough to even do things that I previously enjoyed, like OT games. I spent a majority of my time sitting by the window in my room, wondering what my friends and coworkers were up to. I miss them. I miss my place in the world, and I miss many of the freedoms that I had taken for granted for such a long time. It was my 7th day when I remembered sitting by the birds, wondering if they felt as trapped and uncomfortable as I was. There are many tangible things that I'll remember from my time inpatient at the VA. I will always consider the perspective and many difficulties that a patient has from a seated or bedbound position. I'll remember how uncomfortable some of the medical equipment was and how mundane day-to-day activity seems. Above all else, though, I'll remember how frustrating and humbling the sudden change and loss of control felt. This empathy is something that I believe makes family medicine incredibly unique, and this we believe can help us provide the most comprehensive and compassionate care to our community. As a future physician, I will always start from the patient's perspective. As an advocate of the importance for high-quality outpatient medicine, I'm eager to help motivate patients to define their own health and partner with them to develop a practical plan to achieve their life goals. The longitudinal relationships and emphasis on personal and long-lasting interactions make family medicine the most exciting field imaginable. In any circumstance, I know I will always do my best to consider the real person who is seated on the exam table or in the hospital bed, and remind myself to put the individual's pre-visit life in context of what treatment is best for them. This, we believe, is what separates family medicine from every other field, is what allows us to be there for individuals in many different ways, and allows us to provide the best care possible. Thank you.